Good morning. And I'm going to ask you a question as a man and try to answer this question within 5 seconds. The reason why I'm saying you need to answer it within 5 seconds is because I don't want you just to give the first answer that pops into your head, but I also don't want you to overthink it. Does it make sense? Okay, the question I'm going to ask you is, what is the one thing that all men truly want? What is the one thing that all men desire? Okay? You can rephrase the question to say, what is the one thing men want? What is the one thing they desire? What is the one thing that they crave? So now your minds are starting to think. Okay, while you're thinking, let me give you a bit of a background. Okay, so I was having a cigar earlier in the week with a crew, and most of the time we are men, we are guys sitting in the lounge, and on this specific evening, there was one lady in the company as well. And the topic that we were talking about was the responsibilities of being adult. Okay. And so as an adult, you have certain responsibilities towards yourself and towards others. And especially if you are either a parent, a mom or a dad, or you are in one or other leadership role. Okay, where you are run a company or you run a team, but you have a position of responsibility. Okay, we spoke about the things that make people stress, the things that make people worry, and the things that weigh on our shoulders. So the question then moved towards men versus women. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. Just give me a while, okay? The question that I asked you is, what is the one thing that men want? What is the one thing that men want? And it's a question that I've actually asked many other people before, mostly men. And I was using this opportunity because there was a lady in the company, and then I asked her to answer alone. Okay, so we were basically sitting in a circle. You will look at our Casa Dominica page. We were having a little gathering at the Cape Town Club, and we're sitting in a circle, and it was quite nice because we were talking about this, that, and the other, sharing, bouncing ideas from each other, talking about the businesses, talking about life in general, which is the way it normally is in a cigar lounge. Now, I asked a question. The question that I asked, I directed it at the lady in the group, and I asked her, what do you think as a female, what do you think is the one thing that men want? And then she answered, okay? So the answer that she gave was the one thing that men desire is success. That was her answer. Okay, I don't know what answer you came up with, but she said it was success from her point of view. And then the rest of the men in the company, they agreed, and some of them, they thought about it and they didn't necessarily disagree, but they had other viewpoints. Okay, so my friend that was sitting to my right, he took it a bit further. He said, yes, success, but success is relative. What he thinks is the one thing all men want is respect. Okay, so the men want respect. And sometimes success comes by being respected. And then I answered to say, but respect itself is also relative because from who do you want respect? Do you want respect from other men to be held in high esteem by other men? Do you want respect from your kids? Do you want respect from your team members? If you are a boss, do you want respect from the people that you employ? What is the case? What do you want in terms of respect? So all of those things was mentioned and a couple of other things. Okay. Now, and then I gave the answer. Okay. So you were thinking now, I started the video by asking you, what is the one thing that all men want? That is what I asked you. What is the one thing that all men truly want? Okay. And I'm going to give you the answer and I'm going to back it up. Okay. The one thing that all men want is peace. Yes, we want peace. Whether we succeed in achieving peace is an entirely different thing. Because as men, the way we go about doing things, most of the time, or often than not, does not always result in peace. It results in the opposite of peace, whatever you want to call it, whether it is anxiety, whether it is stress, whether it's frustration, whatever the case might be. We want peace, we desire peace, but the way how we go about it, we don't get peace. Why? Because we're not really always in control. We're not control of situations. We're not control of people. We're not in control of life in general. We are not in control of what's going to happen within the next 5 seconds. Yes, we anticipate and we try to be as prepared as what we want to be, but we are not in control at all. So they agreed, they pondered. There's always these questions about men and peace. Okay. Remember, there's an old saying that most wars were started by men. The world will be a better place if women ruled, and then there would be peace. Okay, you can have your opinion about it, but it's a saying, and it is an interesting saying. So we want peace, but we don't always achieve in having peace because we are not in control as much as what we want to be. Now, there's one thing in life that we seem to have more control over than others, and that is how we use our time. How are you using your time? And especially, how are you using your free time? You only got one life, and our mental health is very, very important. What are you doing to sustain yourself, to sustain your mind, to sustain your soul and your overall well being? What are you doing with that specific time that you have for self care, for attending to you? What are you doing at that time? You have control over that. Now, for me personally, I try to at least once or twice a week set 1 or 2 hours aside to have a cigar and reflect whether I'm in or out of company. That is me personally. And one thing I enjoy the most about being in a cigar group or in a company was I get to feed off the rest of the group. And especially if we are a group of men, we can feed from each other and build each other up. Okay. My wife normally tells me that when I come from these evenings, she can see there is a certain type of relaxation that I have. She sees. Similar to like when I come from the gym. What are you prioritizing for yourself as a man towards your well being? Are you doing the correct things? Okay. The reason why we have frustration is because we are not in control, or we feel that we are not in control, but you don't have to be in control. Okay. Choose something. Now, for me, it is having a cigar or reading a book or taking an afternoon nap or having deep conversations and reflecting with groups of other men. I enjoy that. It builds me up. It gives me relaxation. It gives me a sense of peace. So, you as a man, what are you doing to build yourself up for your own mental well being? What are you doing in order to give you peace? And what is giving you peace? Let me know in the comments. And that is just my thought for this Friday. I'm having my cup of coffee. It's just after 10. I pulled over on the side of the road. I got me a cup of coffee and I'm going to go going on the business of the day. And I wanted to share this thought. Have a good day and chat soon. Bye bye.